So, David, I just have to ask, what in the world did marketing managers ever do to you?
Wow, that's quite the that's quite the thing to start on. What did they not do to me? Is the better question.
Whereabouts are you located at the moment?
Good question. So, I mean, since I left London, probably in May last year, I've been nomadic, right? So I've been
Okay.
across all of the continents. I've lived in Asia for a little bit, in the US, currently in Europe, currently in France. I have my grandmother was here, so I'm visiting her for a little bit. But yeah, the short answer is I've been very nomadic, and I sort of just go where I'm needed.
Okay. What do you like? Have a central base where you are located most of the time?
Since I left London, not really. I've spent a lot of time in the US and Asia. I
Okay.
mean, we're a fully remote team. We have people a bit all over. Some people in the US, some people in Europe. But yeah, I've liked to keep this flexible setup so far. Who knows, right? Maybe in 6 months' time, I set up a proper sort of base somewhere. But GROAS is based in the US. Effectively, tax-wise, et cetera, the company is registered and based there.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But hopefully you have like a house, right? Where you can sleep, not like Elon Musk.
I don't know how true that is. I'm pretty sure he has some like $40-50 million houses somewhere.
I heard he sleeps at friends' houses. He doesn't have his own place. Anyway, enough about Elon. David, do you mind telling us who is David? Maybe we start there.
Sure. Yeah. Who is David? So look, I'm the founder of GROAS, GROAS AI.
Okay.
Been doing this for about 10 months now. Prior to that, had a few different lives, right? So one of them was working in private equity in London and also the US. And before that, also had some short stints in venture capital on the early stage investing side. And before that, I studied computer science at UCL. I've been programming since I was quite young, maybe 12 or 13. So always been interested in tech. But I guess, career-wise up until now has been split between, you could call it tech and finance, if you will. And then the question is, how does GROAS come into play? How did I even start to think about this? What happened was, whilst I was in private equity, not many people knew this, but in the evenings and weekends, I was running my own e-com stores and dropshipping stores, right? It was whilst doing all of that I started to learn and get pretty good with Meta ads, Google ads, et cetera. And then obviously my experiences with Google ads led me to start to build what became GROAS later on.
Okay. GROAS.
Sure.
I get it that this is your number one mission at the moment, right? You probably got more than one thing going on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's
the only thing.
Okay.
The only thing.
Okay. And why GROAS? Why was there a need for something like GROAS?
Right. So look, it's important to understand where we're at now as a company and where we were when it started, right? So GROAS today is, as far as I'm aware, and I'd love to be proven wrong, as far as I'm aware, we are the first people in the world currently to have genuine, end-to-end, fully autonomous Google Ads campaigns. There are plenty of products that give recommendations, that assist with campaigns, that can automate a small part of it. GROAS has fully autonomous end-to-end campaigns.
In layman terms, I know you could go on Google Ads and set campaigns, but not everyone probably watching this is familiar with Google Ads, right? Maybe we could just tell them we're not talking about a presidential campaign.
Sure. So look, Google Ads, well, obviously Google, $1 trillion company, right? They make, I think, $400-500 billion a year off this business, which they call Google Ads. Now, what does that consist of? It consists of people giving Google their money for their business to show up in search results, in YouTube, in shopping ads, whatever it is. But Google have a monopoly, or they wouldn't like to say so, but they have a lot of, let's say, reach. A lot of people use Google for their day-to-day tasks, for their day-to-day searches. Google Ads is effectively you paying your business, you paying Google so that your business shows up as an answer, as a possible solution to somebody's problem. That's Google Ads in a nutshell, right? Now, running successful Google Ads is actually a very, very tricky thing to do, right? Anybody who's ever played around inside the Google Ads console will tell you that it's going to take a long, long time and a lot of training for you to even be good enough to have an idea as to how to run a profitable campaign. So as a result of that, a massive industry emerged, which is marketing professionals, the marketing agencies, marketing freelancers, et cetera, because what they do is they help businesses advertise on Google Ads, because it's actually a very hard thing to do. So when I say GROAS does full autonomy of managing Google Ads campaigns, right? That means creating them from scratch more optimally than a human can. And also the daily running, right? Because when a campaign is active and you are spending money daily, giving your own hard-earned money to Google to show your campaign to people, there's a gazillion different things that could be going wrong. And that's where a human has to come in and intervene and fix these things. Or not just fix, but also find opportunities to make the campaign more profitable and reach more people, right? GROAS did not start off as something that is able to do all of that end-to-end, right? It started off as a very simple, basic tool that people had to use and go into GROAS, and let's say that it would help them find new keywords or build new landing pages that people would interact with. It was quite basic to start. Where we're at now with GROAS, it is now no longer a product because no one uses GROAS. You come in, you connect your campaign or connect your account, and that's it. What GROAS has now become is not something that people have to use. That's the key distinction. And it took us 9 or 10, probably 10 months really to get to this point where we have fully autonomous campaigns that can outperform what a human can do whilst they're inside the Google Ads console.
Whilst they are inside the Google Ads console. So they would have to create a Google Ads first before reaching out to you. Is that the sequence?
Correct. So you connect your account and then connect the campaign, and then GROAS starts taking action on that campaign 24/7. So it's consistently 24/7 taking actions on that campaign. That could be adding new keywords, removing keywords, pausing underperforming ad groups, regenerating new ad copy. The list is kind of endless, right? Of anything that GROAS can do. These are things that a human would normally do inside Google Ads. Often, and the reason I'm very passionate about mission is that they don't do anything. These marketing agencies are fleecing the average business owner. They are charging them $5,000, $10,000 a month to do nothing. They will set their campaigns up once, collect the monthly retainer, and then do nothing. And then the campaign underperforms, the business doesn't do as well as it should, and then they're confused and they think, oh, Google Ads is not for me. So GROAS takes action 24/7 on these campaigns. The only thing we have in the UI is basically a list of all the actions that GROAS is doing. So the user can come in and see, okay, GROAS did this. And at the end of the week, you'll send them a report, like a summary, and say, look, GROAS took these 100 actions in your campaign. Here's what it did for your actual numbers. Like, here's how it affected your bottom line. Do you want to increase budget effectively? So that's effectively why I feel very strongly about the mission, because we have seen it firsthand countless times where you have Google Ads agencies, marketing professionals, whatever it is, a freelancer who's charging a business $5,000 a month, sometimes more, $20,000 a month. It depends on the spend of Google Ads that they're doing. And they are doing nothing for those accounts, zero. Or they're just misconfiguring it, misconfiguring things horribly, right? And doing things that my grandmother, who's 90 years old, she could do better, right? And I mean that honestly. So GROAS comes from basically seeing all of the horrible accounts we've had to take over from other agencies, right? Because business owners come to us and say, look, this agency has just destroyed my campaigns. Why is this? And then we have to come in and clean everything up and basically get them on the right track. So yes, that's why I feel very strongly about the mission.
Yeah, David, I was right about you, that you actually come in for the souls of these marketing professionals. I think I would pause for you to respond to that. You know, when people say AI is coming to steal jobs, I guess there are some small communities of marketing professionals who are saying, no, David is coming to take our jobs. Well, how would you respond to this?
There are. And again, I'll keep it real, right? I don't like to lie. I'll be honest. I would say in the industry, generally, I think it's a 90-10 rule. So I think 90% are doing kind of crap, to be honest, right? They're not doing good things. They are doing bad things for the industry, for the businesses they serve. They're overcharging. By the way, if you overcharge a business to manage their ads, that means that's budget that they can't use to put into ads, right? 10%, I think, are very good and do a very good job and are very solid. Like 10%, I would say, of marketing agencies. We have marketing agencies that use GROAS, by the way. So they plug in their customer accounts, right? Don't tell their customers they're using GROAS. and
Oh
then
no.
collect the difference. Oh, yes. But actually, yeah, we have plenty of these people, and they're big, successful agencies. Those people generally have the best interest of their clients. So I think they're going to be okay. Like they will survive, right? What's going to come in the next 5 to 10 years. But I think it's the smaller end, right? It's people who are, overcharging and doing a bad job. And there's, I would say 90% of the industry is this. They probably won't make it out. That's my prediction. Just to give you a bit more context here, right? Anyone in the world, like my grandmother, back to her, she could set up a marketing agency right now. She could buy a little domain website. Her name is mariesmarketing.com. Put up a couple fake testimonials, fake case studies. Everyone does this in the industry. Do some cold emails or do some paid ads and get her first customer, and she's golden. Like there's no like certification that you need. There's no university degree. There's no nothing that you need to set up a marketing agency or do you see what I'm saying? So that's why it's over flooded with a lot of people I would call cowboys. They are cowboys.
From a business perspective, let's say I run a business and I have a website, I'm selling a product, right?
Sure.
How would GROAS help me? In layman terms, as you would explain to, 5-year-old audience. I don't think we have anyone 5-year-old watching, but just let's aim for the 5-6-year-old.
So, okay, you have a business, do you have customers? The first question you need to ask yourself, and you have a
And a
product.
product to sell, yeah.
A product to sell. But the first question you need to ask yourself, to be honest, before that is, can you afford Google Ads? Before you can think about GROAS, are you suitable for Google Ads? Now, what that comes down to always is, do you have a good offer? Which means, are people converting? Do people come to your business organically? Do you have friends who buy and who say, oh, this is a great business, thank you? If you do have that, and you have, I would say, a minimum monthly budget you're willing to invest into Google Ads, then yes, you should do Google Ads. But then the question is, okay, you probably know nothing about Google Ads. Google Ads is complex. You're going up against people who are there's competitors on Google Ads, right? So you're bidding against competition to rank for them. These people often are sophisticated. They know what they're doing. So do you have the skills personally to then go and manage those campaigns? Probably not, which is again why it comes back to you need to hire somebody to run your Google Ads. So GROAS basically is 5 to 10 times cheaper than it would cost you to hire a decent marketing professional. And that's where GROAS would come in, effectively runs your campaigns fully autonomously with AI that has been trained on hundreds of thousands of previous campaigns to do the right thing. And based on that, get you the best possible result. So the first question is actually, should you run Google Ads in the first place? Not everyone should, by the way. Not everyone should.
Yes. I got to learn that one way GROAS works is it can restructure the front end of a website to fit a particular search that was entered in Google. I really don't know how that works, but could you elaborate if you don't mind?
Sure. So this was actually the first feature I ever built for GROAS 9-10 months ago. It's like the first thing we based the product around, which is the following. And I'll give you a basic example because this was a real e-commerce store that I used to have. It was a store selling male intimate trimmers for men, right? So an electric trimmer, very boring, male intimate trimmers for men. What I found from running Google Ads for that store was that people were coming in and buying that product from a variety of different angles, like 10, 15 different angles. For example, one angle was they wanted a chest hair trimmer. Another angle was they wanted an arm hair trimmer. Another angle was it was a girlfriend buying it for her boyfriend, right? So lots of different angles. And I thought to myself, what if I could take that product page, that basic website, and basically change all of the text on that product page in order to match the intent of the user? So that when somebody on Google searched up arm hair trimmer and they clicked on the ad, when they went to the landing page, all of the text on the landing page all of a sudden appeared to be talking about arm hair trimming, right? And then if they click chest hair trimmer, when they click on the ad, all of the text and all of the images, everything there speaks to the need for chest hair trimming, even though it's the exact same layout, structure, website, etc., etc. That was like the first breakthrough, and that was the first thing GROAS was built around. And obviously, what's the point in doing that, right? Like, why even bother doing this? Well, the short answer is mathematically and very clearly, the data shows that dramatically increases your conversion rates. So the likelihood somebody is then going to buy that trimmer because it matches their needs goes up tenfold. So that's one of the key things that GROAS does, is it also, for your existing website, your existing landing page, it deploys dynamic versions of that to match people's search intent. So that's a massive uplift in conversions. A human, by the way, can't build hundreds of different unique pages that match somebody's search intent. GROAS does. That's one of the things that GROAS is doing, only one of them.
Have you ever had to contend with some ethical concerns? I don't know if someone is looking, let's say, for instance, someone is searching for oranges and the business is selling apples. When they land on the business website, it's going to probably restructure probably the layout and change some of the text so that it reflects probably a need for oranges, and it also maybe alludes to the presence of oranges. At the end of the day, the business does not have these oranges to sell.
For their ad to come up for the search term oranges, that means that they must have been bidding inside Google Ads for the keyword oranges. Now, GROAS wouldn't allow that to happen because GROAS knows that this business does not sell oranges. A better maybe analogy would be somebody was searching for green apples versus red apples. In that case, GROAS could then do the whole, layout, the new copy, red apples, green apples, etc., etc. But it would not ever make you bid on keywords for businesses that you just can't offer, right? But yeah, it's effectively a tool. It's just a tool to increase your conversion rates, but it doesn't make up that you do something that you don't effectively.
I don't know how open you are to speaking about what GROAS is made up of, but I'm guessing it's founded on some AI agents. Are you open to sharing? Is it like anchored on some particular model from a particular company of choice?
So, well, definitely no to that in terms of anchoring to any model. We have our own custom trained models for a lot of things. Secondly, best of thinking of GROAS like a suite of different AI agents coordinating with each other 24/7. It's not you have one agent that looks at a campaign holistically and says, I think we should do this today. Not how it works. We have lots of different sub-agents, each specialized in certain particular tasks within Google Ads that coordinate with each other and figure out, okay, what is the most optimal approach? Like what is the most optimal action we should take today?
That takes it out of the category of products that are wrappers. But then that still keeps one concern though. If you're not necessarily tied to a particular AI large language model or the company, Google, it's still heavily dependent on Google, right? So I don't know, how are you getting along with Google? Have you heard from them?
Great question.
Google, yeah, because Google could do something overnight. And I mean, does it keep you awake at night? The fact that this is kind of dependent on Google working.
That's a tremendous question. I like that one. I like that question. Short answer is yes and no. Okay. Google, of course, are very aware of GROAS. They know what we do. So we wouldn't even be allowed to exist or operate without their blessing. It's not possible. They've been aware of us since the start. Since I ever started GROAS, we need their permission, API-wise, to even do this stuff. So they're very aware of GROAS, of what we do, of the amount of spend we manage. They know. I've got a WhatsApp chat with people inside Google. We stay up to date. We're also in the process of trying to even build our network across all the Google offices. It's of course, we wouldn't be allowed to operate without Google being extremely aware of GROAS. GROAS obviously evolved a lot since we started. Now, GROAS is fundamentally, and they understand this too, I think, is fundamentally very good for their own ecosystem. Why? Because two reasons. Firstly, we lower the cost of entry to actually having very, very optimal campaigns, right? So if, for example, before it cost you 10K a month to have an agency look after your campaigns and make sure they're good, now it costs you 1K a month with GROAS. That's an extra 9K you can put back into Google Ads. Google love that. That means more money for them, right? Obviously. Second reason, if GROAS is so good and helps people actually have more profitable campaigns, which is the only thing that matters, right? That's what we pride ourselves on. What does that mean? That means that if the campaigns are more profitable, they're going to spend more with Google anyway over time. The only people who don't spend with Google are people who tried Google Ads, failed, weren't profitable, and then never put a dime back into Google. So those are the two reasons why Google see us as a partner effectively. They have to see us as a partner because firstly, we lower the cost of entry. We compete against massive agencies who overcharge, do nothing, whatever. But two, if we make our customers more profitable with Google Ads, that makes more money for Google anyway in the long term, right? So that's the first thing which, I would say reassures us and it keeps us happy. And ultimately, it's a business partnership, 100%. We rely on them, and they don't rely on us necessarily. Now, the other angle is they can push stuff inside the platform that might disrupt either our algorithms or some of the stuff we've done. Maybe they push some massive automation feature which could make a particular thing that GROAS does redundant. This is 100% possible. But again, we don't fit in the category of tools. There are lots of Google Ads tools out there, plenty. GROAS is not a Google Ads tool. People still get this wrong. We compete against humans. Like that is the competition. That is the benchmark. It's teams of humans, effectively. So as long as there'll be humans overseeing Google Ads, as long as agencies will exist, as long as freelancers will exist, as long as in-house teams will exist, GROAS, in my mind, hopefully, will continue to have a place.
I think GROAS is like Google Ads on steroids in some way, because you're making it a little bit more effective, right, for some business services. And what do these big companies typically do when they find such happening? An acquisition could be on the way. Is this something you've thought about?
Acquisition-wise, I've kept 100% ownership of GROAS from day zero, not raised a penny in VC funding, right? Even though we get inbounded by VCs all the time. And the reason for that is so that I can build GROAS on my own terms, right? I can hire who I want. We can grow at the pace we want. And we can do things ultimately that are in the interest of the customers. Because if GROAS didn't have customers, I would be on the streets right now, right? Like running a company is expensive. Yeah.
So bootstrapped from the beginning till now? That was all self-funded?
All I had to start was £10,000, like $15,000 max to hire out a team with that, and then actually go and get customers to pay for my living costs and the team's living costs. Right? This is it. Like not a dollar from anyone else. No help. Never had any mentors, any network to help me. No one in my network referred me to customers. It was a struggle from day zero. But what that struggle meant was that I was obsessed with customers, and I mean obsessed. I had people in the early days. They had my WhatsApp phone number. They messaged me at 2 a.m. in the morning. I would stop everything I'm doing and go and help them. That's the reason GROAS, the product, got so good, is because I was genuinely I'm still obsessed, of course. We're still there 24/7 to help people. But if, these customers didn't stay with us, I don't know where I'd be right now. I literally do not know where I'd be. Under a bridge somewhere, maybe. So yeah, the fact that I've kept it bootstrapped means we had this massive focus on customer obsession, which built a good product. And ultimately also means that our incentives are aligned. If, for example, I'd raised a bunch of VC money, then the answer is grow at all costs, forget about the customers, just keep investing in marketing, forget about customers, and that creates misaligned incentives. So I personally don't want to sell GROAS anytime soon. Even if somebody offered me, 50 million today, cash, I would not take that. And if the company's been around for 9-10 months, I would not take that. I genuinely would not take that.
You mentioned bootstrapping, David. That's a feat which you achieved, which is, it shouldn't be underestimated. So you bootstrapped from day one till now where you're profitable. GROAS is profitable, correct?
Yeah, we've had to.
Correct? Yeah, okay. It's profitable. How profitable? If you don't mind, do you mind throwing some numbers, maybe yearly returns? If you want to, I just want to know what scale we're talking about, so it leads to my next question.
I'll be careful what I say. I'm sure there's maybe people watching, competitors watching.
Google is watching.
All I'll say is, I'll leave it at this. We've doubled monthly recurring revenue every month since the start. Okay. You can then do the maths on that organically.
Wow.
With zero.
David, that alone is material for a book. You know how difficult it is to bootstrap all the way until you get comfortably profitable? It's not easy. A lot of people do this all the time. That's why everyone is looking for funding. Okay, now GROAS is profitable. David, I'd like you to take us back to the period where you were bootstrapping fully from your savings or whatever money you had. Walk us through that mindset. What was happening in that period? Did you have like some days where you were not just setting about the whole idea, whether it was a good one, whether it would actually work out in the end? Did you have some difficult days where you're almost throwing in the towel at some point? Walk us through funding a project, something that's never been done before, or a mission, or whatever you could call it, a dream, which is the first of its kind, I guess. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like GROAS. And all that money, every day you kept yourself motivated and you just kept, depleting your savings gradually. There must have been very hard times. Walk us through that period. What did that feel like? Is it something you knew you were going to succeed at the end that kept you motivated, or it was just like an obsession that whatever happens, you would solve that when it comes?
You said the right word there. You said the exact right word, which is obsession, right? Did I have a doubt? By the way, obviously, I went to zero, right? Went to $0 at a certain point. Because obviously, when you're funding, this is extremely hard technology to build. And so you need a team, right? You need an actual team. And without getting too many details, yes, effectively at a certain point, it was very, very brutal, right? The only, having said that, never once personally in my mind did I ever think, oh, no, it's over. I don't know why. Maybe I should have. I genuinely don't. But I also wasn't thinking too much ahead. Like I wasn't thinking, this will all be worth it when I'm making, when we're making 200K MRR. No, I also wasn't thinking that either. I was just literally just waking up like a zombie, and then working 18 hours a day for 7 days a week. Like that's it. That was my life. It's still my life, by the way. I work 7 days a week, obviously. I wake up, I work, I go to bed. I literally just work until I pass out in the evening. This is my day every single day right now. We need to hire more to handle the demand we're doing. Even when we do hire more, that's not going to change. Like I'm still going to be like this. So the short answer is obsession. I didn't have any doubts. I never had any doubt like, oh no, this is over. Never. But yeah, absolutely. There were, just brutal months, like not weeks, not days, months and months on end where it's tough, like financial, like fuck, this is tough. Or we have a massive customer that cancels. That happened a lot in the early days.
So you got to a point where you actually run out of funds, your personal funds. Did that really happen?
At a certain point, I was living in Vietnam, hostels costing $3 a day because I couldn't live anywhere else. Like this is true. That happened at a certain point. I couldn't live anywhere else at that moment in time. Vietnam is actually a super cheap country, so I was there. But then the beautiful thing with business is that you're doing, you're eating, excuse my language, you're eating crap all day, 24/7, and then out of nowhere, boom. That's the beauty of online business, right? So months and months and months and months, hard work, no results, hard work, no results. Still doubling MRR, which is good, but again, having to hire more to deal with that. To then, now we're very, very comfortable. But also another thing I'll add to that, which is, and this is maybe a personal quirk, which is my mindset, which is at the end of every month, right? I want the balance of cash in the business account to go back down to zero. Why? I need to invest every single dollar back into growth. So every single, that is the mission. I say this to the team. At the end of the month, we need to go back to zero. Like seriously, once we put out everything, we need to find new ways of growing. So I think my personality is quite risk heavy.
How does your day look like? You probably do not spend time looking at code.
Good question. Look, I wake up every single morning, whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday too. I wake up and I check my phone and I get apps and it's complete chaos. Every single morning I wake up, I have 10, 20 Slack channels asking a million different things, 20 or 30 emails from the night before.
You don't have like a customer support division that handles questions?
We do, but I need to hire more effectively. We're in that phase now where the last few months have been so crazy where I underhired on this department and I went too heavy on engineering. So now I'm scrambling as we speak to find more people to fill that role. And by the way, these aren't like these are people who are spending very, very considerable amounts of ad spend through GROAS. So they need answers. If they're spending 50K a month, 100K a month through GROAS, they require good answers to their questions, right? It's not something you can just delegate to a virtual assistant somewhere in the Philippines. It's important stuff, right? It's really, really important stuff. So wake up every morning, get bombarded, sprint to the office, chug some coffee, and then as quickly as possible, try and work my way through this backlog of stuff by urgency, priority, spend level. Then throughout the day, I have a mixture of demos. So we only do demos for like really big customers. So people, if you're spending more than 150K a month through Google Ads, then we'll do a demo with you. Otherwise we won't. So I have a mixture of demos, like integration calls, we call them, onboardings. So somebody signed up, we're doing an account audit. We're figuring out the best strategy for them. Onboardings, demos, and then sometimes we'll also have like weekly calls with like very big spenders too. So I have to be involved across basically all of that, right? Then on top of that, none of this, I'll be honest, none of that stuff I enjoy. So I don't enjoy any aspect of that. I mean, the demos are sometimes interesting. I don't enjoy any of this. It's tough, it's brutal, and you got to get through it, right? The stuff I do enjoy, the stuff that does get me excited, is working on the product, like talking about how we can make GROAS better. And sometimes that involves talking to users, right? We talk to users, they say, oh, GROAS did this action. Why the hell did it do this? And then me and the CTO, we have to sit back and think, what the hell is going on here? Why is GROAS taking this action? Is this the most optimal action? And we have to reverse engineer our own models or algorithms to figure out how, like, that's the stuff I enjoy. So focusing on the product is, and new things we can build in, new experiences, like performance stuff, I love that. But yeah, so the short answer is that keeps me busy from the moment I wake up, which whenever it is, like maybe I wake up at 8, I'll be in the office at like 8:45, 9. I'll leave the office probably around 9 or 10, have dinner, and then maybe between like 11 to 2 be focusing on other stuff, whatever I can. And then repeat. So it's a lot of work.
I can see. While you were speaking, you mentioned 50K, 100K clients. Okay, we need to talk about affordability. Who can afford GROAS?
Great question. So the entry fee right now for GROAS, so for GROAS to manage up to $15,000 a month of ad spend is $1,000, right? That's the entry fee right now. Just to give you some context, like typically for an agency, so if you ask an agency to spend 15K of Google Ads through them, typically they're going to do a few things. One, they're going to lock you in to a 3-month to 6-month contract. You are locked in and legally have to pay them. Regardless of if it goes horribly, you have to pay them for either 3 or 6 months, right? GROAS has no contracts. It's cancel anytime. On top of that, they will then charge you some massive setup fees for no reason, just because they can. They'll charge you 2 or 3K just to get started. They're doing nothing, right? But that's GROAS, there's no setup fees. You got to keep it real, right? And then, yeah, I think for 15K of ad spend, again, it depends where you hire that agency, so where are they based? But I would say typically you're looking at minimum 5K a month just for that, on top of the setup fees, the lock-ins, et cetera, whilst also taking into consideration that a lot of the time, if you're paying only 5K, by the way, to a marketing agency, you know what they are doing? They are outsourcing that to somebody, most likely either in the Philippines or somewhere else. And they then pretend they're doing it themselves. That's what you're getting for 5K. At higher ends of marketing agency fees, so if they're charging 10K, you probably will get somebody based in the country they're saying they're based from.
You've hired people. You know, things get messy when you begin to hire people, especially for someone who is obsessed about the quality of the service and the product you're delivering to people. How do you handle poor quality work from the hires you had to onboard at some point to allow you to scale? Because those people, they can really drain the resources you have and also set GROAS back by a couple of weeks, right?
It's so hard. It's the hardest bit of doing a company is hiring good people. So hard. So hard. There's definitely been a couple of instances in the earlier days, much earlier days, when I was just getting started and had very limited funds, where that occurred. Dealing with that is a humongous pain. It is unbearable, right? Especially even if at a coding level, it can set you back months if they're introducing bugs or introducing bad design patterns. Like, it can be absolutely horrible. Yes, we dealt with that in the very early days. Obviously now I think we're past that, right? Everybody now who's on board is top. And that came with leverage, right? So the more money you have to hire better people, like, the less that should happen. Dealing with subpar things like this is extremely tough. I think the one advice, I'm going to be honest, and I would give this to myself even back then, is unfortunately, and you might not like this, other people might not like this, but unfortunately, the one advice is the second you see things like this, maybe you give one warning, you make this clear, but otherwise, they should not be on board anymore. That's my honest. I've learned that the hard way is that you try and maybe delay it, you try and give that person a second chance, and that ends up coming to bite you back in the future. So that's my very candid opinion is if you see that, you should address it ASAP.
Many people struggle with sticking to one thing. You have stuck with GROAS and it has paid off. Do you struggle? Are you tempted to start something else in parallel? Because this is the time where you could basically just build an application in one day, in a weekend, right?
True.
Do you get tempted to try something else, or you just 100% in on GROAS?
Zero temptation. Zero. We're on a mission here, right? Like this is not a numbers thing. I'm also past the point of like material, like personally material stuff. I can mostly do really what I want, go where I want, do like we're past that. We're well past that now, right? Now is the mission, and this is what I tell to our employees every single day. I want to be number one. Number one. That is the only thing I care about. I don't care what monthly recurring revenue number, like how many millions that comes with. I just want to be number one. Like that's my only thing.
If you were not doing GROAS today, which other product would you be zoning in on? Do you have something like a number two in mind?
Maybe it would be one of two things. Either something like ads in LLMs, because that's going to come soon, right? So how to optimize for that, because that will come soon. Or maybe optimizing for organic reach in LLMs. Although there's a lot of people already working on that. So I need to have a really good angle for me to actually think about even doing that. Because there's already so many companies that are doing exactly that and being funded in this space. So many. I need a particularly good angle for me to focus my time on it. But I do think those are very interesting projects.
Okay. David, any regrets so far along this entire journey?
Actually, I think, yes, one. And we touched on it just now. I think when you see an underperformer who's not a fit, I think you have to make the hard decision early. And I didn't do that at the start. And I think it cost me a little bit. It cost me a bit of time. It cost me money. And if I could go back in time, I would 100% make that call sooner, for sure.
And also, is there one most valuable piece of advice you've ever received along your entire journey from anyone at all, from someone alive, dead, a book? Is there something that keeps you fixated on your North Star and not, letting it loose in Vietnam and never returning to sanity?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've never read too much into the health, the self-help books and stuff and that sort of thing. Maybe I should have. Another thing I've never really had too much of is like particular mentors and stuff. Again, maybe I should really do this stuff. So I don't know. Like I think I'm quite, I would say, execution focused. That's like my mindset and how I am. There's just stuff to be done and I just have to do it. I don't really think maybe too much. Maybe I should think more. Who knows?
Where can anyone watching this or listening to this, where can they find you online if they're looking?
Sure. Look, obviously, the email is dp@groas.ai. You can go on our website, groas.ai. In the About page, you can find my LinkedIn profile. I'm not sure what the URL is. And yeah, if you have any questions, obviously, feel free to reach out to us and we'll see if we can help.